Whenever the conversation turns to AI, it's almost always about jobs, right? Is a robot going to take my job? But what if that's not the real story? What if that's just a distraction from something much, much bigger? The sources we're digging into today make a pretty bold claim that AI is quietly building an invisible wall, literally splitting humanity into two completely different kinds of minds.
And this, right here, is the core idea. We're seeing two new classes of people emerge. On one side, you've got the Augmenters. This is a small group, and they're using AI as a tool, like a mental exoskeleton, to supercharge their own intelligence. Think of them as the new Scribal Class. But on the other side, you've got the dependents. This is a huge, growing majority of people just being lulled into a kind of mental laziness by how easy AI makes everything. They're being called the new illiterate class. See, the question isn't what you can do with AI, it's what AI is doing to you.
Now, this idea of a digital divide has been around forever, but look at how it's changed. At first, level 1, it was simple. Do you even have a computer? Then we got to level 2. Okay, you have one, but do you have the skills to use it? Then, level 3 was about outcomes. Are you actually getting a better job or a better life out of it? But the argument now is that we've just hit the final boss, this 4th level divide. And it asks a question that's honestly pretty chilling. How does the technology use you?
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we actually have to go way back in time. It sounds crazy, but to understand this futuristic problem, the sources all point to this incredible historical parallel that perfectly sets the stage for today, the invention of writing itself.
I want you to try and imagine a world with zero writing, nothing. It's what the scholar Walter J. Ong called a primary oral culture. In a world like that, knowledge isn't a thing you can just look up. It's alive. It's a performance, it's a story told around a fire, it's a shared event. Your entire mind, your whole way of thinking is wired for memorization, for repetition, and for the community. It's a fundamentally different way of being human. See, writing wasn't just a handy new tool. Ong argued it was a technology that literally restructured consciousness. The oral mind was additive. It just strung ideas together like, and then, and then, and then. It had to be redundant, repeating things so people would remember. But the new literate mind? Whoa, it could handle complex logic. It was analytical, it was abstract, and for the first time, it was deeply personal and private. It was a brand new operating system for the human brain. And here is the absolute key. This new technology, writing, created the first great cognitive divide in all of human history. It created the first gatekeepers of information, the Scribal Class, a tiny, powerful elite who could read the laws, the scriptures, the contracts, and a massive, illiterate majority who were totally dependent on them for everything. Does that sound at all familiar?
Okay, so let's jump back to today, because this isn't just a cool historical metaphor. The argument is that this exact same split is happening again, right now. And it's becoming a biological reality with evidence that we can actually see in our own brains.
The warning shots for this were fired over a decade ago. People like Nicholas Carr, in his book The Shallows, were already arguing that the internet itself was rewiring us. He said the net's constant distractions were encouraging cursory reading, hurried and distracted thinking, and superficial learning. He saw that our tools were already weakening our ability for deep, focused thought, long before generative AI even hit the scene.
But that was really just the opening act. And while we're still in the early days of studying modern AI's long-term effects, researchers are piecing together years of data on how our brains respond to digital media. And the picture that's starting to emerge from all this research, well, that's what makes this whole argument so terrifyingly real.
Okay, so just look at this chart. It illustrates a concept that scientists call cognitive offloading. Think about it. When you have to figure something out entirely on your own, your brain is firing on all cylinders. That's high activity. Now, if you use a tool like Google to look stuff up, you're still doing some of the work, so activity is moderate. But the huge concern with generative AI is that you offload almost all the thinking. Your brain activity could plummet. Our minds could literally go quiet.
And the fallout from that kind of outsourcing is just staggering. We've known for decades from educational research that if you don't struggle with information, if your brain doesn't have to work to process it, you just don't remember it. That cognitive offloading can be so complete that a student might not even be able to recall the key points of an essay they supposedly wrote.
But this right here is the part that should send a chill down your spine. This isn't just temporary laziness. Our brains run on a simple principle: use it or lose it. It's called neuroplasticity. The fear is that this points to a semi-permanent rewiring. Those mental muscles you use for critical thinking and deep focus, if you let them atrophy,
They don't just snap right back.
So, what does a society of people with atrophied thinking muscles actually look like? Well, you just have to look at the economy, because this cognitive split in our brains is being perfectly mirrored in the job market.
Economists call it skill polarization. This slide calls it the Great Squeeze, and it's a simple, pretty brutal process. Step 1, AI gets really good at automating all that routine, middle-of-the-road brain work. Think data analysis, report writing. Step 2, the demand for those jobs just gets hollowed out. Step 3, human workers get squeezed away from the middle and pushed to the extremes. And what's the result? Step 4, a polarized job market with a huge demand for the high-skill creative thinkers, our augmenters, and a huge demand for low-skill service jobs for everybody else.
And this is not just some fringe theory. We're talking about major players like the IMF raising the alarm. They point out that AI is set to turbocharge inequality for two big reasons. First, the high-skill workers, the augmenters, use AI to make themselves massively more productive and valuable. But second, that same elite group also owns the capital, the stocks, the companies, so they get a second payday from AI-driven profits across the whole economy. It's an insane feedback loop for the people already at the top.
Now, if the history, the brain science, and the economic data still haven't convinced you, let's turn to the last and maybe the most powerful piece of evidence, the urgent, desperate warnings coming from the very people who built this technology.
This is Geoffrey Hinton. They call him the godfather of AI. His research is the foundation modern AI is built on, and he quit his prestigious job at Google just so he could speak freely about the dangers. He said, and I quote, "I'm worried about the end of people. When the guy who literally invented the thing sounds an alarm that loud, you have to listen."
And it's not just him. This is Yoshua Bengio, another titan of the field. He points to the dangers that are already here, right now, warning that AI could be used to destabilize democracies and oppress people. He's talking about a direct threat to our entire social fabric today.
And that really brings us to the final unavoidable political conclusion here. A society that's split between a cognitively supercharged elite and a passive, dependent majority, well, that's just not compatible with democracy. It can't work. A population that has outsourced its ability to think critically is a population that is wide open to the exact kind of manipulation and disinformation that Bengio is warning about. It eats away at the very foundation of a free society.
So in the end, we're left for this one haunting question. We're being offered this beautiful gilded cage. It's a world of total convenience, where every answer is instant and hard thinking is optional. And let's be honest, it's comfortable in there. But the question is, will we even notice when the door quietly locks behind us?